Hey, Scott, I seen you just showed up. Can you hear me? Hey, Scott, in the chat, can you just put yes if you can hear me? Just want to make sure you. Should be a chat over there to the right. Scott, Mark, Bobby, I see you guys. Can you guys hear me? There should be a chat over to the right. If you guys could type in there. Yes, you can just type yes. Just want to make sure that my sound's working here. Can you guys hear me? Do you guys see a chat? Just bear with me here. It says, okay, got a yes. You guys can hear me. That's good. Give it a couple minutes, not too long here. Get some more people. Welcome, guys that are here already. I appreciate you guys coming. Awesome. Hope you got your questions ready. We're going to see if we can get some answers for you. I appreciate it. All right. Well, you know what? We'll just jump into this. Let's get going here. Welcome. This is Dirt Soldiers MX Training Academy questions and answers session. So if you got questions about anything regarding your MX racing, I'm going to answer them for you. We're going to keep this just towards, riding techniques, jumps, corners, stuff like that. I mean, anything to do with riding, we're going to stay away from the maintenance kind of stuff of it, suspension setup, stuff in that regards. So we're just going to stick with that kind of stuff, not the maintenance stuff. We're going to stay away from that. I just want to show you something here real quick to start this. If you guys don't know me, I am Scoob, owner of Dirt Soldiers MX Training Academy. If you guys this is your second webinar, I appreciate you guys being here. If you're the first time here, welcome. Can you guys see that? Okay. Can you still see it? I'm going to start with this right here. We're going to intro in with this. I want to give you a little thing, a video I'm putting out on YouTube. It's going to come out here in a couple days, but I'm going to just give you a condensed version of it. Hopefully you can see this. It's this PARB, which I call PARB, okay? And this will lead up to some of the questions you have And what this means is potential. P stands for potential. Okay. We all have the potential, all of us, to do whatever. I mean, if it's your first time riding, your first time swinging a leg over a bike, first time trying a big double, first time trying a tabletop, we all have that potential to do it. Okay. The key is we got to take action. We got to move to our next thing. Okay. Everyone's saying, yes, we can hear you. Yes, you can see this diagram I have up here also. Awesome. So I'm saying our P is potential. Okay. We have to take action. If you don't take action, you're never going to accomplish anything you want to accomplish in this racing game. If it's your son, if it's you guys, and this P, that's the dream state. That's like, man, I wish I could do that double, the hope state. I wish I could do that triple. I want to get out there and race. Okay. If you never take this action though, you're never going to move to the next one, which is R, which is you're going to get results. And in between this P and action is fear. Fear. I used to have the word fear in here. I don't know what happened. It looks like it's gone, but fear will stop you also from taking this action. If you have the potential, we all have the potential, but if you start thinking about it too much, you don't take the action erases the fear. Okay. The action will get rid of the fear, but fear can overtake you in between this potential and this action, and it'll allow you, and you'll never accomplish what you want to do. You'll never go out there and try anything. So you got to take the action. Okay. So once you take the action, what you move to next is you get a result. You get a result from that action, and that result can be bad and that result can be good. Okay. And as a beginner rider, a lot of times your results aren't going to be up to par, up to where you want them to be. Okay. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you a belief. That result will give you a belief. And this is where the story starts to come in. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. But the thing about it is fear starts to roll back in here too. Okay. You start to get fear back in here, and fear can stop you here too. What you got to do is once you get the result, you can't start a story in your head of you can't do this. You got to push through, do what you got to do to find ways to go out there and better yourself, take classes, go on the internet. Let's take, for example, it's just you doing a double and you can't get it down. You want to learn all the correct techniques to do that. Well, guess what? Now your potential goes back up, and you got to start this loop all over again. And that's what you do as a beginner rider. This is just a quick condensed version, and what I wanted to open this with to give you an idea how this works. You're always going through this part, always, everything in life. I mean, you can apply this to anything, losing weight, the whole 9 yards. We all have the potential. We have to take the action. Once we take the action, we get a result. Once we get a result, we get a belief. And the belief is where this is where it gets tricky in between the R and the B, because if the result's bad, like I said earlier, your belief starts to go down, and that stops you from going back to your potential again and starting over and going through this loop. Okay. So I'm going to make a longer video on this, really explaining this a lot more, but I just kind of want to throw that at you guys to start out here. So, let's get to it here, guys. I hope that helped a little bit. And you can use this graph to kind of see where you're at in your riding. Okay. You can use this to say, maybe you're at the action state. Maybe you need to take action. Maybe where you're at is you have the potential, but you need to take the action. You got to get out there and just take the action. You got to do it. Don't let the fear stop you. Maybe you're taking action, and you're getting results, but they're not the results you want. Okay. If you're not getting the results you want, you can't beat yourself down because of that. Okay. A lot of people get good results. You get the good results. Sometimes you can hang out here in the belief for a while, because maybe you start winning some C-class races. You're riding pretty good. Well, you can hang out here for a while because you're winning, you're doing pretty good. But sometimes at some point, the pressure is going to come again, and you're going to have to go and start with your potential again and start all over. Everybody goes through this. Brian Villapoto, Ricky Carmichael, Chad Reed, everybody up to their level goes through this system right here. And I'll explain, and there'll be a video on YouTube of that down the road. It'll help better, but I just wanted to do an introduction with that, and that'll help you see where you're at and what steps you need to take to improve your riding. Okay, let's get back to my ugly mug. All right, guys, go ahead. We're ready here. We didn't get a lot of people on this webinar, a lot more the last time, but that's fine. We'll shoot through it and get your questions. If you want to just type your questions in, what we're going to do, just type your questions in that public chat, and I will answer these questions for you. So if you want to start typing now, you can start typing your questions, and the chat should be, hopefully you guys, you've seen it there. You were typing in yes and everything. So if you have any questions, you can type them in now. And I will get them answered for you. Any question you have, guys. If you're racing or you guys racing, and you have a question about anything on the track, I mean, how your technique, the jumps, the corners, or you maybe you have some sons that are racing, you have questions for them. Are you new to the sport? Display sticky. Type question in here. I just put a sticky over there. Type question in here. That's where you guys will type your question in. You guys have any questions? I have nothing lined up for this webinar other than that the PARB thing I just showed. And so we got to have some questions here. I could probably whip something up. Bobby Scott, I see you guys are in the chat room. Any questions? Any questions about riding, about racing, about maybe it's your first time? Okay, Scott, I got a question for Scott. I watched your videos on ruts. How do we determine the proper angle for the rut? Okay, so this comes down to a lot of things in motocross are about feel, right? It's about doing it over and over again and getting an idea how they, how that rut's going to affect your front wheel when you first go into it. When you first go into a rut, the first thing that you got to get lined up is your front wheel. It's got to go into it, and it's got to go into it right. And I understand what you're saying. How do we know how much we need to lean that bike over to get that front wheel in? That's the first thing we need to do. Okay. And that's basically, I mean, it comes with practice and it comes with time of knowing ruts, of seeing them over and over again and going through them. It's this old adage, this old saying of practice, practice, practice. I mean, it's motocross is such a game of practice and it's such a game of feeling. You wouldn't believe how much it is about feeling and feeling it. But the key to the rut is, Scott, is to first get your front wheel lined up in that rut, okay? And that's going to take you to lean the bike over farther than what you realize, because ruts get an edge on them. And what happens is if you don't line your front wheel up in there correctly, it's going to catch you see my bike back there, it's going to catch your fork, or it's going to catch your disc, and it's going to throw you off balance, okay? So when you're coming into that rut, you have to start to lean that bike over almost like you do in just say a corner, a flat corner, before you actually enter that rut. I mean, and it's all different on the how deep the rut is, how low it is. So once you get that front wheel in, the next thing that has to happen is that back wheel has to come into that rut, okay? But you need to lean it over, and how you do that is you want to create a counterbalance. So it gives you the confidence to lay that bike over. So what you do is you weight the outside peg. If you're even coming into a straight rut down a straightaway, and that rut is more leaning to the left, it's got a high wall on it up here to the left, where you're going to lean that bike to the left a little bit to get that front wheel in. Where you're going to have to put a counterbalance on the right that'll allow you to lean that bike over farther to the left. And that counterbalance, how you do that is you put weight down through the outside foot peg, which if it's to the left, you're leaning to the left, it's going to be the right foot peg. And that's where you're going to be able to lean that bike over farther and get that front wheel to line up in there, and not so it don't bounce off that sidewall of that rut and throw you off balance. The next thing that has to happen is that the back wheel has to come in lined up. Also, more than likely, you get the front wheel in, the back wheel is always going to follow. What'll happen is if you don't, you can get the back wheel to cross rut in that and get outside of it. Well, a lot of times what happens there is you're too tense going in. You got to be loose going into ruts, and you got to stay loose in the ruts. Your upper body nice and loose from the waist up, flowing with the bike, because it's going to push you around a little bit. So you got to flow with it and not allow that back wheel to come in also and follow the front, and you won't cross rut the back wheel out of it. And that could be real bad, especially if you're on the throttle, okay? But once that back wheel goes in, you're leaned over, creating that counterbalance to the outside of the bike. you're in a rail now. I love ruts. I mean, ruts are, I think they're awesome because it's like a train on rails. Once you make that happen, and once you get that bike in there, you can just rail it now, for lack of a better term, because you're locked in. Once you get in that rut, you're locked in. Now you'll run into sometimes where you have brake bumps and other stuff in that rut can throw you off and bounce you around. But that's basically how you do that, Scott. That's the key to it. It comes down to a lot of practice, a lot of feeling, a lot of judging by seeing a lot of different ruts and getting an idea, creating a counterbalance to lay the bike over to get it into that rut so the front fork and disc and stuff don't catch, and to stay loose once you're in there. Breathe, have fun, stay loose, and flow with that rut. Hope that helped, man. Okay, let's move on there. I got Bobby here. Hey, Scoob, I'm turning 44 this year. I just got a bike from my 8-year-old and myself. How do I get started at my age in MX? And same for my son. Well, Bobby, the best way to get started is if you never, I'm not sure if you ever, I'm assuming you never even raced before at all, okay? Just got a bike. You said you did get a bike for your 8-year-old. And you did get one for yourself. Well, that's the first start. You got the bikes. I mean, my suggestion honestly would be, and I'm not saying this because I run a school, but if you never did race before, I would definitely get a school. I mean, or you know, even go online and learn all you can. You know, obviously watch my videos, and that helps. That's the first step to get a good idea what's going to happen. You know, as far as riding the bike and get a good feel of the correct beginner techniques, so you can go out and practice that. And then that's what you want to do next. You want to go out and find yourself a practice track. You know, maybe it all depends. I don't know if you have something at your house. A lot of people have stuff at their house. If you don't, your next thing would be to search the web for your area to find a practice track. Okay. And you want to go to your local practice track and you want to start to get out there, take your son out and ride with him and just get a good feel. Take it easy at first. Take it slow. Don't go out there to race with other people. You know, go out there to have fun. The biggest thing, and I always preach this, is have fun. I mean, some of the best results I ever got in my career racing was when I just didn't stress about it so much, just have fun. This is all about fun, especially with your 8-year-old son. You know, it's there to be together. This is the greatest family sport in the world. And you get there with your son, and it's just having a good day in the sun at a motocross track. It's the best feeling in the world. But find that motocross track and then get out there and just have fun. Enjoy yourself and start to practice stuff you learned from me over Dirt Soldiers MX, other stuff you may have learned, and see where you're at. Take a gauge of where you're at, you and your son are at, and, you know, talk to people at the track. The motocross track is one of the best. It's you know, you're there with your son and that's your family, but motocross is a big family sport. Everybody, there's nobody that won't talk to you. There's nobody that won't give you tips and help you. And then you step it from there. Okay. You're there at the track. And maybe you ask somebody who sees a little better. Maybe there's a pro rider there. Heck, if I was there, you could approach me and you know, hey, help us out. Where are we at here? How are we doing? You know, where do you think? You think we're ready to go step up and go to a race? And then find out where the races are. Find out what tracks have the races. And, you know, you have to get your district cards. If they have district cards, to sign up and get your membership for that track. And you're basically on your way to going and trying your first race. And, you know, all races have a nice, easy beginner class. Most have, I don't know where you're from, but most have like what they call it here is like a D class. It's even below a C class, which, you know, you go A pro, B intermediate, C beginner, and then a D class. And then the D class, they won't even let you jump. Okay. So that's a real nice place to start at, to get out there and get a good feel of how it all works. You know, the going off the hole shot and the gate drop and being out there with other competitors. And the likelihood of you, you know, getting crazy in the C class with someone maybe jumping on you and taking you out is a lot less in the D class, because you're not allowed to jump. You got to check into that. That would be something you would ask at the practice track or find your local race. Sometimes they don't have that D class, but most places do offer that now. But that's how you get started, and you're never too old. I'm 42 myself. I know, but I mean, I've been riding all my life, but you're never too old to be in this game. You don't have to go out there to be a pro anymore. You just go out there to have fun with your son, get him into a great family sport, and just have a, you know, good old time. Hope that helped, Bobby. If you have any more questions, if that helped you guys, Scott, Bobby, please let me know if you got any more questions. Bobby, I'm totally new at the sport and I'm excited about it, but how do I get out on the track for the first time? Hopefully I kind of answered that for you there with Scott's question, Bobby. Um, I'm excited about it, but I get out on the track for the first time. Basically what I just told Scott, that's how you do it. You want to find a practice track. Okay. And I mean, you can almost find a practice track anywhere in your area. I'm not sure where you're from. And even if it's just a, there's a lot of, if you can just start searching the internet and you find someone like me, myself personally, I don't have a track that's open to the public, but, I mean, per se, I mean, I don't have races here. I don't do stuff like that, but, you're from the area. You guys are, I don't know where you guys are from. You're always welcome to come to my track and practice here at my track. And, but you can search the internet and find a local guy, get a hold of that local guy and ask him if you're allowed to come, tell him you got a son. Tell them you're new to the sport and you'd like to just come practice. It all depends. Some people will let you do that. Some people won't. But sometimes it's hard to find these tracks. And some of these tracks that have races don't have open practice all the time. So it's hard, But almost anywhere you can find a track within an hour drive that's a practice track that will have an open practice maybe, 2 days a week on a weekend. And you can go and start to experience what it feels like to be out on a track and ride around. Just the key is go out there, guys, and have fun and don't push it. And if there's a lot of guys out there that are riding and going fast, just go to your own little, you go out there on the track with them, but just go at your own pace. Don't worry about them. Don't concern yourself with them. Do what you got to do to feel how the bike works, what's going on, to get a good feeling for it. All right, let's move on. Let's go. I got one from Kyla here. I was talking to Kyla early on Facebook. She was looking for some training. That's awesome. Kyla, could you race MX with a TTR 125? Yes, Kyla, you could race with a TTR 125, especially if you heard my question earlier. My answer, I'm sorry, earlier was if you're new into the sport, they have a D class, which is a total beginner class. And the TTR 125 is actually a great bike for a beginner starting out to get a good feel of this. Instead of jumping right up to something that's more powerful, like, your CRF 150 or even a 2-stroke 80, the TTR 125 is a great, great bike to go out and get a good feel for this, a good feel for everything you got to do on that bike. And, and it's a 4-stroke. And another thing I like about the 4-strokes is that's where we're at now. I mean, we're heading towards this. We're dominated by 4-strokes now. Okay. When I started, it was 2-strokes. And that's what you rode. The 4-strokes, you didn't race 4-strokes. The only thing they had was a XR, 250 and the 600. You didn't even think about racing them things. But it's a whole new ball game now. So I try to, a lot of kids that I help, I try to get them on that 4-stroke as quick as possible. Unless you plan on racing the 2-stroke all your, the rest of your career. There's nothing wrong with 2-strokes, and I love 2-strokes. But if you plan on really getting into the sport and racing, you're going to basically be on a 4-stroke because that's where it's at now. Like I said, unless you choose to be on a 2-stroke, but they're not making them anymore. They hardly make them. Only Yamaha makes them. So, it's best to start your young ones and yourself on a 4-stroke. And the TTR 125 is a 4-stroke, and it gives you a good feel what you're going to be if you stick with this sport. You're learning on that 4-stroke power. Okay, I hope that helped. If you got any more questions, Kyla, you can shoot them at me. Let's see, we got Bobby said, yeah, thanks, Scuba. Awesome, Bobby. I'm glad I could help, man. I really am. We got another one here from Scott. I'm 51 years old and rode in the woods. I hope you guys don't mind I'm reading these. I should have asked that first. If you don't mind, if you do, I'm sorry, but I'm going to read it. I'm 51 years old and I rode in the woods a lot during as a kid in the 1970s. My 50-year-old son and I have been on practice tracks for 3 years and progressed quite a bit. Any pointers you can give us now? We are very interested in hiring you to teach us one-on-one. At my age, can I really expect big gains in ability? I've logged about 200 hours on tracks over the last 3 years. I'm an average C rider. How much more can I expect? Actually, honestly, in my opinion, you can expect a lot more, Scott. Definitely. Listen, age definitely plays a part in it. I mean, this is considered a young man's sport. But I mean, you got to look at some of the people that have been down the road before. I mean, you got people like John Dowd, if you know who he is, and you got other people that that were a little bit older getting into the sport. You can always progress in the sport. You can always get better. You know, even guys like, if you're watching Supercross, Dungey, and you're watching Tomac, they're always even striving. I mean, they're the top guys right now, and they're still working to get better. This game, this is why I love this game of motocross so much, is it's man and machine. It's you and machine, and it's not a team sport. It's you and your bike. It's a team sport if you're with your son or something, as far as you're a team going there. But when you roll out onto that track, you and your kid and yourself, it's you, and you have to figure out how to become a better rider, the techniques and what you need to do to hone your skills in. And you can always improve. You can always become better. I used to actually race with a guy to come out that was 65 years old. The guy used to beat me. This is no joke, no lie. He was unbelievably fast. We have another guy named Ray Sobo, I believe was his name. The guy was unbelievably fast. He was an A rider, and he was at the time, this was about 5-6 years ago, he was 48 years old, I believe, at that time. And I kind of lost contact with Ray, but he was unbelievably fast. You know what I mean? And he said, you know what he told me one time? He said, I just go out there every day, get on that practice track, and learn all I can and improve myself every day. And he got better every day. And I checked on him about less than a year ago, and he was still going. And he's 50 something now, and he was still winning the A class, and he was going to Red Lens and still doing really good. Now, of course, I mean, I've had a lot of injuries myself, my knees, my shoulders, and it does definitely slow you down. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, as long as you're out there on the bike, you can always improve and get better. And it's down to the techniques. It's down to to building your confidence, control, and flow. And you do that by what I teach is the foundation. That's what it all boils down to. What these guys are doing, Tomacs, Dungeys, Carmichaels, they have the techniques mastered, fine-tuned. Yes, of course, they put hours and hours and hours in the track. But guess what? You can condense them hours down. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound wrong here. It does, it takes time, because like I said earlier in this, if you're listening, it all comes down to a lot of practice. But you can do that if you do the correct techniques, and you pick them up. If you get the training, and you're asking about training, for me to train you, I'd love to train you. I'd love to meet you guys and show you guys and make it, condense it and make it so you can learn it quicker, so you get the schooling and the correct teaching and techniques, so you can apply them right away, and you don't go through a big loop, a big arc of trying to figure out how to do this stuff. You can go out and get the right ways to do it right away, and then go out and practice it. And that's the next key to it. And the next key is to practice it, but it's to practice it. Don't go back to your old speed. Practice it nice and slow until you learn that technique. It has to become a reflex reaction in your body. The difference between us guys and Tomac and Dungey is it's a reflex reaction. They can do it without even thinking about it. But they did that over practice. But you can get that too, and you can get that quick just by slowing it down and letting your body learn it real quick, just like you do anything. Just like when you learn anything, lifting weights, your body's got to adjust to it, and it's the same deal. I really hope that helped, Bobby. Let's see if we got any more questions here. If you're interested in getting some training, I'm sorry, Scott asked that question. I'm sorry, Scott. Hope that helped you there. The answer, if you're looking for training, contact me, mxscoob at gmail.com. We can definitely set something out, but I would love to help you guys, meet you guys, and teach you the correct techniques, and really help you progress. You say you've been riding for 3 years, and that's good. You guys are probably more to the intermediate stage. Your boy's probably more to the intermediate stage. Let's see here, Scott. Thanks, you, Scoop. Yes, John Dowd is from my area. Scott said, thank you, Scoop. John Dowd is from my area. Saw him race pro at the WIC at 47 years old. I will keep up heavy on the cardio. There you go, buddy. And I didn't even touch on that. That's very true. You got to we got to keep ourselves in shape. There's 3 things that affect each other in motocross racing. The first one is what I call the foundation. It's your master. It's the center of balance. The center of balance is key because you have to be in the center of balance on the bike, or you're always going to fight the bike. And the center of balance comes from your controls, and it comes from the obstacles on the track. It'll throw you out of the center of balance. Your bike's just a balance machine, okay? And your body is an extension of that bike. And if you're not in the correct center of balance on that bike for, say, just hitting a whoop, say for hitting a jump, say for just going through a rut, you're never going to flow on the bike correctly. You're going to fight the bike if you're not in the correct center of balance. So it all starts with that center of balance. That's the key, okay? And then it moves to the 5 controls, using your controls like a surgeon, okay, and using them correctly. Braking correctly, that's really huge. Not over braking. Using your front brake correctly, not over braking. Clutching correctly, using your clutch as your trigger just to deliver the power you want. And your throttle is huge also, okay? And then once you start to tie them two together, that's where, here's another thing, the controls can also throw you out of the center of balance also, because you're adding a force. Throttle's a force, braking's a force, okay? So now you're combining the track, which is throwing stuff at you, and now you're combining your controls, which is throwing stuff at you, and that's where it can throw you out of the center of balance. And once when you're in the center of balance, you are flowing. When you're doing it correctly, when you're moving correctly on the bike for the situation you're in, throttle, braking, and the track, then you get the flow. You start to flow on the bike, okay? And the second, I was saying there in the beginning, there's 3 things that affect it. The second thing is, and I didn't even hit on it, was cardio, okay? I'm sorry, your exercise, your fitness level, okay? Your fitness level is the second thing. Because what happens is if your fitness level ain't up to snuff, you can have that center of balance completely down, mastered. You're moving on that bike really good. You're throttling, braking, awesome. Well, guess what? As soon as you get tired, game over, because you're going to start to sit down more. Your legs ain't going to be able to hold your abs are, your abs are going to weaken out on you. Your shoulders are going to tire. Guess what? You're out of center of balance. You're not going to ride the bike correctly. Well, guess what? The third thing is that affects your confidence, which I like to call your swagger, your mental toughness. That's the 3 interconnected things to racing motocross, and they all affect one another. Okay, you do them first 2 wrong, you're not going to build no confidence. You build them first 2, you do them first 2 right. Your cardio's killing it. You're in good shape. And your center of balance and your 5 controls are all good. Well, now, it starts into the mental game of you're out there racing with somebody, and they start to wear on you mentally, okay? And then it starts to take away. It starts affecting the other 2 a little bit, because you see it happen all the time. If you watch these guys, it happens. All the pros, Tomac and all them, just a crash can make it happen. All kinds of things can make it happen. But it's a key to keep all 3 of them things: the foundation, center of balance, master with 5 controls, your fitness level, and your mental toughness, your swagger. The first 2 really affect the mental, your confidence. That's what really builds confidence. But as you get better, and where you're at, Scott, is what I'm reading is more of an intermediate. You're moving more into that mental aspect, because you probably got more of the center of balance and the controls down. Probably use some work on them, but you're probably trying to really build your confidence. So that's the 3 things. You got to have your fitness. You got to have your center of balance, master 5 controls down. It'll start to build confidence. As you move up into the pros, you got to work more on your mental game. The other stuff is kind of, you got it down pretty good, and it's more the mental game. Hope that helped. Okay. Hope that helps, Scott. That's awesome. You see Dowd race. I seen him many times too, and I seen the time Ricky took him, hit him. I was there at was that Dilla that year? I think it was. But yeah, the old Dowdster. Okay, we got a question from Mark. Was down 4 months last year, broken foot, the worst. How long to get confidence back? Okay, Mark, kind of touched on that a little bit there with what I was saying with Scott, with riding with the center of balance and everything. But an injury, it can really pull your confidence back. Injury is a massive, that mental part I talked about, it can really wipe that out. Okay. I don't want to bore you with a ton of my stories, but I've been there and I understand. I really, really badly broke my leg. I was actually told I was never going to ride again. And the doctor said I'll probably not even walk right again. Destroyed my right knee, was in a wheelchair for a whole year. I couldn't put no pressure on the knee at all for a whole year. And then after the year of the wheelchair, I had to rehab it for another year. And my main goal, and one of them, like I said, is mental toughness. I just, that thing almost broke me down completely and made me quit racing. But I love this sport with every bit of my heart and soul. And when that thing had my confidence just beat down, I was like, I'm going to quit. I'm just giving it up. I'm going to quit. I didn't. And one of the keys is to never give up. And when an injury takes you out like that, to really, you got to stay mentally strong, and you got to stand back up and never give up. Okay. And, and I totally understand. I was almost there. It almost took me out. And I actually went to a wedding, and there was a guy named Ty Wallace. He was a pro rider back in the day. He did really good in arena cross. He was actually remember when they did the number system, when Ricky Carmichael was like number 1, 2, McGrath or whoever it was and went down. He was actually 43 at one time. And I went to a wedding, and when I got to that wedding, I had no clue he was going to be there. It just happened to be this coincidence where he knew these people, and we ended up at this wedding. And he had a really bad injury also. And I remember having a conversation with him, and I said to him, man, I'm thinking about quitting, man. I just can't. This is just killing me, And he said, listen, man. He says, you just can't. I've been there too. You can't give up. And I remember, I'll never forget this. He said to me, when that brap comes back to your head, when that comes back in your head, you'll be ready to ride again. And I remember it was about a month after that. I was riding down the road, and I looked over to, you look off the road and you can see it looks like an awesome jump, like off the 4-lane highway. You can just see like, you can see yourself hitting this cool jump, and it's laid out in the hills. And I remember looking over at that out the window and thinking, and I was like, man, I'm coming back. So yeah, just never give up. And you got to get back out there, and you got to just take it slow from the beginning, Mark. You got to build yourself back up. That's what you got to do. If you watch my video on, I'll leave a link to it under this when I post this back up. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's called The Roller Coaster. And motocross is a roller coaster game. I mean, it really is. This sport, let's be honest, can in a snap of fingers take you out. It can, you can break a bone and something can happen. I mean, listen, every broken bone I had, though, don't let that scare you if you guys are beginners. I'd take them all again 100 times over for every experience I had being with my boy, being with my family, every person I met, and all that on that bike. Every experience I ever had on that bike you see sitting behind me, I'd take 10 more broken bones. I swear I mean that over again for all the memories I had of doing that. So take it slow. Get back out there and start building your confidence again by doing the correct techniques. Get out there. Don't let no one bother you. Get on a track. Take it easy. Take it slow. Start to build strength. You want to start to exercise that broken ankle. I believe you said you want to do exercises that'll help that ankle and build strength back in that ankle. Because what you'll find is if you don't do that, you're going to start having imbalance on your bike, because you're going to start to favor the other foot. And when you do that, you're going to be off that center of balance on the bike, and it's going to affect your riding. And if you keep doing that long term, you're going to build that bad habit of favoring one side of the bike, and it's going to cause all kinds of problems for you. So one of the first things that you can do is you want to build strength. We talked about earlier with exercise back in that ankle. You want to go build strength back in that ankle, and that'll allow you to feel confident on that bike and go back, build yourself back up the ladder, back up the roller coaster the correct way with the correct techniques. Hope that helped, Mark. Okay, guys, any more questions? I'm trying to see if I see any more here. Okay, Scott. Scott has one. I ride a 215. Or I'm sorry, 215. I ride a 2015 350 S. Man, I can't talk today, guys. 2015 350 SXF and a 2013 350 SSX. Based on prior info, and I'm okay staying with them, or should I go back to a couple of 250Fs? That's. I rode the 350s. I really like them. I almost thought about getting one of them actually myself. I mean, if you feel comfortable on that bike and you really like that bike, that's your preference. That's going to be how you feel. Okay. That's going to be, Scott. If you feel that bike's not working for you and you feel that bike's not what you like, and you maybe borrow friends, or you have a friend that has a 250F and you jump back on that 250F and you just feel way more comfortable in that, and you feel like you can ride it with a lot more confidence, control, and flow, then maybe it is. Maybe you should get back to that 250F. You know, I've seen different things with this, and it's basically your preference. And the best advice I can give you is, you know, you got to ride each bike, and you got to make that decision where you feel best on the bike. Okay. Sometimes I really like the 350. I never bought one. I actually went and bought the KXF 450, but I rode the 350 for a while, and I really enjoyed that bike. You know, I just got this good deal on the KXF, so I went with that. And I've always rode 4-strokes on, or 450s. You know, I've been riding them for a lot of years, and I'm really comfortable on them. But I really like that 350 also. But they, you know, don't let me make the decision for you. You got to get out there and you know, get on both them bikes. And if you're really happy with your 350, maybe it's just something where you're thinking, maybe I should go back to the 250. And if it's something like that, you know, go ride that 250. And if it's just, it feels about the same, you know, you feel about the same on it, then stick with your 350. If not, if you feel a lot more comfortable on that 250, some guys do. I know guys that do feel more comfortable on that 250 than that 350, you know. Then go back to that 250. Hope that helps. You know, get out there and try to ride a 250 again. And, you know, a lot of that will probably be in your head also. I don't know where, I mean, that's, you know, I'm just basing this off a little bit of a question you threw in there, but maybe you have ridden 250s for a while, and maybe you know kind of in yourself how much you really like that 250 compared to riding this 350. You know, you kind of, I guess, kind of got to go with your heart and what you feel inside is the better option for yourself. All right. My son has a KTM 250. I like the light weight, but a ton more shifting. Yes. Definitely, Scott. I mean, I just said earlier, the 4-strokes here, the 4-strokes are here, but they're a lot easier to ride. The 4-strokes are so much easier to ride. The only difference between the 4-stroke and the 2-strokes are everything applies the same. Everything I teach, everything, if you guys seen all my teaching with the center balance, whatever, the 5 controls, it's all the same. It's just on the 2-stroke, it's more, you got to be more precise. They don't track as good. They're you know, they're a lot more loose, don't track as good as a 4-stroke. So you have to, on a 2-stroke, do all that stuff, but you gotta be more precise with it. You gotta be, and there's definitely more shifting because, you know, that's and there's a little more clutching. You still don't want to use that clutch completely and pull it the full way in. You know, if you've seen some of them teachings I teach on that, I won't get into that big time, but you use clutch more on a 2-stroke and you shift a lot more because you're trying to find that power. Okay, it's always about finding that power to be in that correct power, where a 4-stroke will track a lot better and give you that power a lot easier. So 4-strokes are actually easier to ride than the 2-stroke. But don't think that you throw all that stuff that I teach out the window. That's it. I mean, that's what it is. It's just you're more precise with it, and you're you know, you're a little more, everything with the center balance, and especially the controls. You have to be more precise with the throttle. You have to get that throttle mastered. You have to get that clutching and that shifting, so you're always in that meat of that power, so you get good traction. Okay, the 2-strokes are notorious for not getting good traction, and you got to use your body position and them controls to get yourself precise, good traction, where it's a lot easier in these 4-strokes. 4-strokes actually make you lazy. A 2-stroke keeps you precise, keeps you you know, on your game. It don't make you lazy. A 4-stroke can make you lazy. You got to force yourself on these 4-strokes. I mean, you can do it. You don't have, you can ride these without being lazy, but sometimes you got to force yourself to do that because they'll make you lazy. They really will. So I hope that helped. Scott said, thank you so much, Scoob. No problem. I'm going to stick with my 350. They're awesome. See, awesome, Scott. I mean, if that's what you're feeling, that's what you feel inside, then that's what I do, man, without a doubt. Maybe if I get to meet you and we do some training, maybe I can take a rip on your 350 because I love the 350s. That's only if you want me to. I understand your bike. I won't do that unless, but I do like them 350s. Hey, we got Michael. Hi, Michael. Hey, Michael, what's up, man? I've been talking to Michael a lot on email. He's an awesome dude. And he's joined the Motocross Training Academy, and he's really picking up the techniques and really doing good. And I'm really proud of that. And good job, Michael. I appreciate it. So let's see. What do you do if you realize that you are over jumping a jump instead of going for dear life? What do you do if you realize that you're over jumping and jump instead of holding on for dear life? Well, that all depends how bad you're over jumping that jump. Um, the best thing you can do when you're over jumping a jump is you want to get your front wheel high, okay? And you want to get your back wheel to hit down first. You don't want to hit with all the impact in both wheels first, especially if you're coming from a far drop, and this is all, it's all dependent on that kind of landing. If you're going to kind of catch the landing, if it's a steep landing or maybe off a tabletop, or if it's a longer landing, or if you're going to flat land. If you're going to flat land, you're completely missing the landing. What you want to do is you want to actually, you got to pull your clutch in to do this. And this is a little bit, if you're not advanced with this, I mean, be careful with this. And what you can do is you can actually get your weight back a little bit. That movement of rowing to the back of the bike, that'll put the front up a little bit. And you can actually add a little bit of throttle to it, but you got to pull your clutch in. That'll raise the front of the bike up. That'll spin the wheel faster on the back and this is an extreme situation is what I'm showing you here, because you want to try to get that back wheel to hit first and then the front wheel to come down. It'll be a lot easier of a landing if you can do that. I mean, that's all dependent on how bad you're over jumping this jump, where you're going to land. I mean, sometimes you're over jumping it too far, and maybe you're going to land in the face of another jump, and that's sometimes where it calls for bailing. I mean, sometimes you're going to have to bail off your bike. And I mean, God forbid, and I hope that don't happen, but there's times where, if it's going to be where you're going to case, like if you're doing a triple maybe, and you're going to just case the top of the jump, or if you over jump a jump too far, and sometimes you come into the face of another jump, it can sometimes be worse to plow into that jump. It can actually really hurt you, and sometimes it's better to bail off. It's not good either way. So either way, I'm not saying bailing off, but if you're just kind of overshooting the jump, you want to get that front wheel up a little bit and let that back wheel hit first, and then the front wheel come down. It'll be an easier landing. And the way to do that is to pull your clutch in and give that thing throttle. That is going to get your body weight back a little bit. Now, that's all dependent also on if you're already back there a little bit. You got to be careful with that, because then it'll go up too high on you. So it's all dependent where your center of balance is. If you're kind of right in the center and you're going to over jump and flat land straight out, pull the clutch in, give it a little throttle. That'll bring that front up, let that back hit first. Boom, let the front come down. You got to be prepared for that hit also, because when that front comes, it's going to want to push you forward. So you're going to have to come back, that row back motion a little bit once you hit also. That's the extreme situation. Now, if you're you got to judge that as you're going to land. Sometimes you can just flat land it if it's not going to be a big drop or crazy high where you're really high in the air and you're going to hit really, really hard. Sometimes you can just let that front, you can just use your body to move back a little bit. You don't really have to use the throttle, and that'll get your front just up a little bit, and it'll smooth that landing out a little bit. I hope that helped. Michael. There's a couple different situations there on that. That can get ugly, and there can be many situations. It's all depending on how far you're over jumping, how long the landing is. But that technique of pulling the clutch in and giving it a little bit of throttle will spin that back wheel, and it'll raise that front up a little bit with your body position. All depending where you're at, we'll let that landing be a little bit smoother. Scott, I'd love you to rip some laps on. Scott said, "I'd love for you to rip some laps on one of the orange machines. If you let me, I would love to do it. No doubt about it, Scott. That would be great. I appreciate that. Thank you." Bobby said, "Scoob, Scott, good to hear your input. Can't wait for the snow to melt." Bobby, ready for the snow to melt? It's unbelievable. I'm up here in Antarctica, and that's that bike back there. Every time I walk in here, I'm just like, I want to ride it so bad, and just can't right now. I mean, I'm in PA, and we got hit with a lot of snow, like a couple in a row, and it's bad. It's driving me nuts. I seen a sticker. It actually had the middle finger. Sorry, anybody, if you're in there, but it said "Winter sucks," and I love that sticker. I had to grab a couple of them, because I mean, I'm not into it right now. I want to ride bad. Florida's been calling my mind. I've been thinking about going down there like crazy. So if any guys are looking for any training in Florida, I'll come down in a heartbeat. No doubt about it. Would love to come down to Florida. Love it down there. I used to get down there all the time in the past. And boy, just I agree. Some hot weather would be sweet. I can't wait to get this winter out of the way. All right, guys. Well, we're getting close to the hour mark there. I was going to do that for an hour. I appreciate all you guys' questions. I hope that really helped. I do want to show you guys. I do have an offer for you guys. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's see here. I'm just going to pop it up here. There it is. What it is just my video training. I have video training where, you know, if you have video of you riding, I can train you over your video. Basically everything we just kind of went over here. Any mistakes you're making, you can ask me any question and we can get that video to me anyway. I mean, you can text it to me, email it to me. I can grab it off YouTube. So if you might be interested in that, I have a software program where I can actually take myself and record over your video. So I can record and look at every aspect of that video you have and everything you're doing in every situation. I mean, wherever you're riding on that track, I can watch it and actually teach you right over that video. It's pretty awesome software. So, you know, it's an offer I have. If you guys are interested, you can check it out. I believe it should be up there on the right. And, you know, with that offer, definitely comes any question you want to ask me. So, and we'll cover it on that. We'll go over the center of balance and I'll correct your center of balance and I will correct how you use your 5 controls in every situation on that track. Plus any question you want to ask me, up to 10 questions is what I'm throwing in there. You can ask me about anything in that track you're struggling with and I will help you overcome them problems, just kind of like we did here a little bit, almost same kind of deal, but it'll be on a video that I'll grab your video. I'll teach you over your video and then I'll send the video back to you. You keep it for life. You can go over all the things and you can come back as many times as you would like. And once you have the video, and if you don't understand something, I'm just not going to throw you this video and say, it's over, it's done, see you, goodbye. I mean, you have this video and if you have any questions of anything I'm teaching, you can contact me through email. We can even do Skype and I'll help you with something maybe you didn't understand that I was teaching or anything like that. So if you're interested in that offer, you can check it out right there to the side. It's over there in the cart. You add it to cart if you want to do it. You add it to cart, you pay through PayPal and it'll send a link right to me. I'll know you did it and I will contact you and we will set up a way to get your video and we'll do the training. All right, guys. I mean, it was a good time today. I appreciate you guys showing up. I really, really do appreciate you guys showing up. I hope that really helped. Hope to help you guys ride. If any guys are looking for training, contact me. I'm free and open right now. Love to help you guys and train you guys. So have a good night. I'll talk to you guys soon.